The next thing that I want to show you is how to create a realistic grass for a small garden. So I will use the same grass. I'm using the real grass from the fish park. You can see that this is the bigger version. The name is Cynodon dactylon, which is actually is bigger than this, but I detach some area of the grass and I detach it to one object like this, so it's easier for me to have a realistic look for the small garden grass. So that I want to point out at first that I've forgot to explain at the beginning of this video, which is for forest pack, it's you need to give more attention on the pivot for this grass. You can see that it's already at the bottom of the object, which is this is the correct one, so like this. But what happens if your pivot is actually at like this, so probably like this. I'm sorry. How to fix this fast? So all you need to do is to press the go to the pivot and affect pivot only, and then press the center to object like this, and then make sure that your object already at the horizon coordinates, and then you can put a 0 here, and then it's already at the bottom of your object. And then we can start to give a material on the ground. I'm using this soil mud texture from the CG texture, and we can sorry, you have to give attention on the map channel. I'm using map channel 1 here, and then I will drag and drop it like this, and we can add some UVW map, and then I will use like set the UV like 100 and 100, and then we can add the Forest Pack Pro here. Just apply it like this. Okay, and then press modify, and you can start adding the object here. So what we need to do is just to select this and select all the 6 objects. Okay, I will set the distribution area. I'm going to use a sprite like this and change the density. I will change the display mode to point cloud. Okay. First thing first, we have to make sure that the size of the grass is at the correct size. Let's try to measure the grass, probably like this. Okay, the grass height is 11.5 centimeter, so I think we need to reduce the size, because for the small garden at the residential house is not going to be that big, so we can change the size with the easily with reducing the global scale here. And it's like I'm going to use like 60% of, so it's getting smaller. We can check again. Okay, it's like 7 centimeters. I think it's enough for the grass. And I will start playing with the transform. I think we need to add more density. You can add the density by scale, reducing the unit like this. Okay, what I like from the ITO is like they giving us a warning when we have a too many object, so we can like adding the limit, the maximum density limit here, that will show on the viewport. Also you can since add here max item, we can add more like 1 million. See, so this is what you will have on your rendering. So I guess it's too dense, so we can reduce the, we can add more size. This is 100 and like 75. Okay, we can use this for now. And I will go to the camera setting like this, and I'm not going to use any collision for now, and I will play with the transform. I'm not going to use the translation, so I will use a rotation, and I will use map on the Z axis, and I will use noise as our previous test, that we use a noise on the size 5. Okay, and we can play with the high and the low parameters, so we can have a more distinct black and white map. We can use fractal, so let me change the size to bigger one first. Okay, so you can see that there's a like a good gradient on the map, like from the black to the white, so we have the gray color here. I think we'll reduce the size first like this, so we can, okay, probably like this. We can play with the face, and okay, this one I think is enough, so I will back to the 5 for the size, and then I will use the same bitmap noise map for the scale, so I just drag and drop this to the scale. Okay, so for the scale, black means it won't scale at all. Okay, it's just like reading a bomb map, which is black is mean stay and won't affect the bomb. So let's try to render this one. Okay, this is a render test, which is the rendering still going. So I can see, as you can see, that we need more grass. It's still, we need to make it more dense. So I will cancel the rendering. As you can see that the grass need to have a C and X rotation, so we also need to add more effect on the rotation. So let's add more rotation first. Because grass on the residential field is not that, it's having a different characteristic with the forest, grass on the forest. So we need to make sure that not everything is growing up. And then we can add more density. You can add the density here, or you can play with the threshold like 30, so you can have more dense. But very careful, be careful with the threshold. So you might want to maximize the amount of this unit, then you can play with the threshold. So you not don't use the threshold first. I think it's and we can do the render test now. Okay, I will cancel this one, and you can see that we still have an issue with the density, so we can make this smaller. Like, let's try 50. Okay, the density looks really good here. Okay, this is the result of the rendering. So I guess it's already look natural. So the next thing is about the texture. What I always concern is about the texture. I've seen a lot of 3D rendering out there, which is they only using the default texturing from the object, and it will look uniform like this. So in some cases in the real world, you can see that we will meet with this condition, which is the color of the grass having one color. But we can add more dynamic color on the grass, which is having the darker green with the combine it with the lighter green and the yellow part of the grass. So we can create this kind of texture for our grass field like this using a forest color. How to do it is just we can do the like this. Okay, this is all the 6 grass. So I will let's see the let's use the color pick first, like this. So we can see that there are total of 4 bitmap. So the other grass object also using the same texture, you can see that like this. So what I'm going to do is, for this time, is to I want to change the all the object using a one ID only. Okay, and I will do for the rest of the object, I will use only one ID. Okay, now we only need to use one ID. I will drag and drop it here and select all and apply this. And then what I'm going to do is to change the diffuse. I will change the diffuse bitmap using a forest color, like this. And then I will clear this map and we'll choose the override and get color from map. We will use a forest color, and then I'm sorry, I will use select a bitmap. I think I double the okay, yes, I double it. I'm wrong, so I will choose the bitmap, the grass bitmap. Okay, let's use this one. Okay, this one, it looks a lot more better. So here I will use a map channel too. Okay, and then let's select the ground just to test the map will look like. And wait, I will copy this instant here and we'll apply here. Okay, and see, and I will add another UVW map here and change the map channel to 2, so we will see that. And the camera, we can see that this is what the texture will looks like. We can change the length here, okay, like probably like, okay, this one looks a lot more better. And so this is what going to be the grass color distribution looks like. So I will back to the soil texture here, and for the forest color, we can change the blending mode to normal, and we need to select the S texture on surface. Okay, let's do the render test. So this is the result, you can see the color giving more detail on the grass. So I will show you my rendering for the Japan Architectural Rendering Association exhibition using my Bali villa, like this one. So you can see that uh, the grass will look more natural in here because we have a lot of color to fill the volume of the image, so it's not all using a same green color. And the next thing that we can how we can use the forest color to create a grass. A couple months ago we have a project, their client asking a grass like this for the villas. So it's gonna be really painful when your client asking this kind of type of grasses and need to have a close camera shot. So we can, when you won't be able to get a very realistic result when you use a not like a Fourier displacement mode. So we are able to manage to have this kind of texture because we use the forest color. So let's close this rendering and I will select the plane and we'll change this texture. Let's use this one, and I will apply this. Okay, and I will rotate the bitmap so it's easier for you to see. Okay, like this, and we can change the probably like this. Okay, this is the correct UVW map, and let's apply this soil back. And as the and I will apply the same texture on the forest color. We can try to change the focal length of the camera, so it's like probably 30. Okay, or 25. Okay, I think we need to reduce the size of the grass like 30, because this kind of grass will have a very fine size, so you need to make sure that the size of the grass is smaller and having more density. Okay, now let's do the render test. Well, just to make sure the viewport handling lighter, so I need to reduce the maximum item displaying on the viewport, and then I will also need to add more maximum item because we reduce the density size here, so we will need more objects scattered on the plane, on the ground. So I already added, and now we can try to check on the status. Okay, so I think let's try to render. Okay, this is how uh, the grass looks like when we use this kind of texture. So uh, this looks styling just because I didn't give a proper UVW map on the plane. So anyway, when you use a correct UVW map, this won't happen.